Calling all authors, the Your Book, Your Voice podcast with host Robert A. Lane features everything you need to know about narrating your audiobook. But it doesn't stop there. We have special guests lined up from all aspects of the book publishing industry, and we also dive deep into what it takes to be mentally prepared for success as an author and in life. So please welcome your host, Robert A. Lane.
Hey, my friends, welcome to the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Robert A. Lane with Robert Lane Coaching. Maybe this is the first time you're tuning in. Welcome. I am an audiobook coach and producer, and I specialize in helping nonfiction authors who have a great published book that's out there in the world, but it's not in audiobook form. So what I do is help these authors turn their book into an audiobook, but the key component is that you, as the nonfiction author, narrate your own audiobook because it does need to be in your own voice. Nobody can tell your story better than you. You lived it, you've breathed it, you've put your blood, sweat, and tears into the story that you're sharing, whether it's a memoir or personal experience, which is something that I deal with a lot of authors who have some really great stories. Or maybe you're a coach, or maybe you're an entrepreneur, or an educator, or a teacher, or a poet, or a children's book writer. All of you do need to narrate your own audiobook because, again, nobody can tell your story better than you. You are the best person who is most qualified to narrate your audiobook. And I have an audiobook coaching program, which is called Your Book, Your Voice. It is a 6-week program that I take you from setup and preparation of your own recording space, because that's the best way to do it. I provide you with the equipment that you need to set up that recording space. And let's see, what else do we do? Oh, of course, we teach you the fine art of narration, how to do a great audiobook narration, how to be authentic and conversational and compelling and keeping your listener engaged from opening credits to closing credits. And also part of the program is that as an audiobook coach and producer, yes, I am your coach, your support system, your safety net, your mentor, everything that I can be to help you do a great audiobook. And I'm also an editor as well. So you get everything. I have 23 plus years experience as an audiobook editor, or just as an editor in general, working 30 plus years in the entertainment business. But I do all the editing for you, make sure your audiobook sounds great, that it meets the exact specifications for publication, and then get you published. We'll get you published on Audible, Amazon, and Apple. You need to be on the AAA. Those 3 distribution platforms are crucial because most people go there. And any other distribution platform that works for you will get you published there as well. So if you are a nonfiction author, you have a book out there, it's not in audiobook form, let's talk about your book, and I'll give you more details about the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program. And one simple step you need to do, and it's really simple and easy and very painless, and that is to book a call with me. We'd love to speak with you and find out more about your book and get you enrolled. We have a graphic on the screen there for you to check out, and it has the link on there, which is bit.ly/audiobook onboarding. That's bit.ly/audiobook onboarding. Book your call. We'd love to speak with you. And of course, you can always go to robertlanecoaching.com for more information about the audiobook coaching program, and you can also book your call there as well. One more thing I want to share with you before we dive into our show today is that I do have a free audiobook narration reference guide where I've put together some really cool tools and techniques and things that you can do to help you do a better and fantastic audiobook narration. Practical aspects of doing a great narration, and the emotional and intangible aspects, which are really crucial in creating a great audiobook, the emotion, the energy. And so download that free guide. It's there for you. It's my gift to you. Again, that's another bit.ly link, which is bit.ly/narration reference guide. Again, bit.ly/narration Reference Guide. All right, so there you go. We do have a special guest planned. Our engineer will let us know when he's able to bring him on as we wait for him to come on as our guest. So we'll let you know. But in the meantime, what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about is legacy. Legacy. What is that? What is it about, especially for you as a nonfiction author? Now, you've written a book, or maybe you're in the process of writing a book, which is great. I forget what the percentage is, but there's like 93% of the population has a book in them, right? Or want to write a book. And that's great. That is great, especially as a nonfiction author. And, doing it self-publishing, going the self-publishing route is really great. And I'm a big supporter of that because you have really full control of your book and full control of your author brand. Now, again, we're talking legacy. I love the fact that as a nonfiction author, you're writing your book, you're sharing your story, whether it's a memoir, or if you are a coach or you have something to teach, those are great books as well. But you have this book in written form, and that's fantastic. But you need to up the level of that. And leaving a legacy in your own voice is a fantastic thing to do. By narrating your own audiobook, first of all, you're preserving the integrity of your author brand. Okay? That is really important because the way that you wrote your book, the style, the energy, the pacing, the sense of humor, your personality, everything that does create your author brand is in your written word. And of course, that does include your voice. Your voice is in your written word. So it only makes sense for you as the nonfiction author to narrate your own audiobook because it's in your own voice. No one in the universe can express your story better than you because you lived it, you've breathed it. It's your story. Even if you are a coach, it's your coaching program that you're talking about. The guest that we're going to be bringing on soon on the podcast today, Walter Young, is a personal coach. So that is his specialty that we're going to be talking about and talking about his book as well. So narrating your own audiobook is great because when you have your own voice telling your unique story, you stand out, all right? You can have a great narrator, and there are tons of fantastic professional narrators that are out there. But the difference is that they are telling your story with their interpretation. It's how they interpret your story. And they may not interpret it the way that you want it expressed. And that's important because you want to, again, preserve the integrity of your author brand. Very important. And part of your author brand, actually, what really encompasses everything about your author brand is everything who you are, the way you were brought up, your personality, your sense of humor, all these things that I just mentioned just a few minutes ago. That is your author brand. You are a brand. And once you have your published book, welcome to entrepreneurship, my friends, because you are an entrepreneur. Whether you write professionally for a living, or maybe you wrote your book in nights and weekends because you have a day job. That's fine. That's great. But now that you have a published book out there, you are an entrepreneur. Your brand is you. You are the author brand. Your product, of course, is your ebook, your paperback, your hardcover, and of course, most importantly, your audiobook. So that is the legacy that you're leaving. And what a fantastic thing to do is leave a legacy in your own voice. I've talked about this before on the podcast, and I just think it's such a great thing that we now have the technology to be able to do this. Back 30 years ago, maybe, or even, if you go way back, who's somebody that you would have loved to have heard them tell their story? I mean, even other great writers like Mark Twain. Wouldn't it have been great to actually hear Mark Twain share his insights of what it took for him to create the great stories that he created and hear it in his own voice? Well, we have the ability to do that now. And as a nonfiction author, you do have that ability, right? We have the technology. We can do this. So leaving a legacy for generations to come that people can hear you tell your story in your own voice is a fantastic thing. And that is a really great thing to do for your author brand. Another great thing about narrating your own audiobook is that, a lot of people, more and more people, as I talk to not only just authors, but just people in general, they love hearing the author tell their story in their own voice. The other thing to keep in mind is that the audiobook world has been growing and expanding over the last several years, and it continues to grow and expand. And more people go to Audible, Amazon, Apple, and maybe some other distribution platforms to look for an audiobook first. And they will even ask you, hey, is your book on Audible? Can I get your book on Amazon? Oh, I get all my book on Apple. So, I want to listen to your audiobook on Apple Books. Is it there? People ask for audiobooks, not just saying audiobook, but they do ask for it by brand name. So again, very important to be on these distribution platforms. And they will go there first. So getting your book out there and marketed and distributed for people to discover you in the audiobook world is a great thing, because that expands your reach. It allows people to discover you, to find you, that maybe they wouldn't have even thought about if you only had an ebook, paperback, or hardcover. So having an audiobook is great. The other great thing about having an audiobook, again, leaving that legacy in your voice, is that you also, again, are leaving your legacy in written form as well. And people will buy your audiobook. People will also check out your ebook, paperback, and hardcover. And depending on the story that you're sharing, whether it's a personal memoir, or like I say, whether you're a coach or an entrepreneur and you're teaching something, again, being in your own voice is super important, because you don't want anybody else telling your story, because no one can, again, tell it better than you. But you're leaving that legacy in written form and in audible form. But the great thing about having an audiobook is that people tend to also purchase other formats of your book, whether it's the ebook or paperback or hardcover. I mean, I do it all the time. I listen to an audiobook, and especially if it's something that has great quotes or information, or maybe it is an educational book or a self-help book or a coaching book or something like that. I love getting a hard copy, and I usually will buy the paperback, because I like to highlight certain quotes or concepts in there as I'm listening to the audiobook. So it's a great way to boost revenue. It's another revenue stream. Yes, you will make money with your audiobook. You will make money with your ebook, paperback, and hardcover. But again, there's like cross promotion, in a sense, of you being able to market your ebook, paperback, hardcover, and audiobook. And again, more and more people will buy multiple formats of your book. And that's such a great thing. It's a great thing to help boost sales. Another thing about having an audiobook, we did mention about, of course, leaving a legacy, but it does help in regards to getting other speaking engagements. I have a client, or I have an author that I worked with who is doing fantastic scheduling and booking these terrific speaking engagements at hospitals and cancer treatment centers, because her book is about her journey through cancer and overcoming it, and now sharing her story. And her book is great, her audiobook is great, and now her audiobook is something that she uses as a tool to help her book great speaking engagements, and to be able to help and inspire and transform lives who are going through something that is just really intense. Going through a cancer journey is an intense journey. And by her going out there and sharing her journey and getting these speaking gigs, using her audiobook as a tool to book these gigs, is another great thing that you can do. And plus, again, having a variety of formats of your book is another great way to offer that to your listeners for your audiobook and your readers. And then from a marketing standpoint, it gives you the opportunity to combine deals. Buy my audiobook and you can get my ebook for 99 cents, or vice versa. Or, buy my audiobook and I will send you an autographed copy of my paperback. There's a million ways that you can market yourself. So anyway, wanted to share that with you, food for thought, as we well, we do have to take a quick break. We're going to check and see if our guest is ready to go, but we'll check on that when we come back. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Robert A. Lane. My business is Robert Lane Coaching. You can find out more about what I do as an audiobook coach and producer at robertlanecoaching.com. Check it out. We'll be back with hopefully our guest. If not, I got lots of things that I can discuss with you. And if you want to participate in the show, since we are streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network, by all means, post in the comments, give us a call. We'll give you that phone number when we come back from our break. So don't go away.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. Rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies. Find settings that allow them to be the most productive and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
And we're back. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Robert A. Lane with Robert Lane Coaching. We are streaming live, by the way, on the Bold Brave TV network. Glad to be here. And I really encourage you to participate in the show. If you have any questions about the audiobook world, maybe you are an author and you're curious about the process of what it takes to create an audiobook, because, you know, it is a process and there are a lot of moving parts and you need to do it and do it right the first time so that you don't get rejected. By all means, give me a call. All right, give the show a call. You can, again, post in the comments if you're catching the show live. If it's the replay, you missed out. But we still have a lot of great information for you. But we are live right now, so you can give us a call at 1-866-451-1451. Again, that phone number to call into the show is 866-451-1451. We'd love to hear from you. Again, if you have any questions about the audiobook world, if you're an author, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear about your book too, as well. And we are waiting for a guest. He may be having some issues getting into the show to get logged in, but we got the BBTV team all ready to go when he does show up. I really hope he does, because I really wanted to present Walter Young to you. He has an incredible story as a personal trainer and an author, and other things that he's done in his life that are very inspirational. So we're hoping to get him on the show. But in the meantime, I do want to share with you a couple of things about the audiobook world that maybe you are not familiar with. One thing that I do wanted to talk about just briefly is the process. Now, when you are recording your audiobook, when you are narrating your audiobook, remember, it is done in sections. You don't have to sit there and read your entire book in one sitting, because that's not the way to do it. It is broken up into sections. The front matter of your book, the back matter of your book, the actual main meat of your book, all the chapters and all the content that you have. All of this is done in pieces. So you have your opening credits, you have your introduction, maybe you have a foreword, maybe you have a prologue, dedication page, any other information that's in your front matter. Those are all separate audio files that you record. So you may have maybe 3, 4, 5 pieces in the first front of matter, the front part of your book. Those are all separate audio files. Now, it does make it easier to record, of course, because you are doing it in sections. Then you tackle your chapters. The book that I published, let me see here, Lights Action You. This is a book that I wrote, I self-published just a little over 2 years ago about my experiences in the entertainment business. And I have 14 chapters in this book, so that is 14 audio files. Now, I just finished working on a book, great book that had, and this is just the chapters, 58 chapters. So that was 58 separate audio files that were recorded, in addition to all the other parts of the book. Like I mentioned, opening credits, closing credits, acknowledgments, dedication page, forward, prologue, epilogues, all that stuff. Lots of audio files that were recorded for that book. But you know what? The author did a fantastic job. She sounded great. Her book is fantastic. And it was just a joy to work on it. And she had a great time doing it too. So whether you have 14 chapters or 58 chapters, you still can get it done and it will sound fantastic. But, again, everything is done in sections. Okay. So that makes it a lot easier for the recording process. Now, my job as a coach is to make sure that you're consistent throughout the entire recording process. And, that is not just about mic placement. I mean, that's all part of it. These are important elements: mic placement, body posture, making sure the voice sounds good, making sure you're hydrated so that there's not a lot of mouth noise, making sure that when you're recording in your own recording space that I help you set up, that that there is not weird ambient sounds in the background that's going to interfere with the quality of your audiobook. And so those types of things, those are the practical aspects of the recording process. And of course, the intangibles, and this is the best part, because this is what takes an audiobook from being just mediocre, or maybe it sounds very reedy or monotone. When you take who you are, your author brand, being tapped into your core reason of why you wrote your book in the first place, always being tapped into that, because that brings in the intangibles, the energy, the emotion, the personality, what makes you so unique, right? That's all part of your author brand. Those things that you can't physically touch, but boy, can you emotionally feel. That's what makes a great audiobook. And that's what allows you to stand out. And this is just one point that I want to bring, and that is, you don't want to sound like everybody else. You want to be you. That, again, is your author brand. So embrace your author brand. Embrace who you are, everything about you. And that includes your voice. All right. I hear this a lot. Oh, I hate my voice. I don't like how I sound. I don't have what it takes to do a great narration. Yes, you do. Crush that false belief. You do have what it takes. You have a fantastic voice. You really do. And I get it. I hated my voice when I first heard it. As a kid, I was like, oh, I sound like that? Wow, that's horrible. But you know what? It's not. It really isn't, because this is part of your author brand. That's what makes you you. And I bring this up because that's how you stand out in the crowd. You stand out in the crowd by being you, by being your true, authentic self. That's what makes a great audiobook. All right. So again, the process of recording, of course, is you are taking your book a section at a time. My job as a coach, of course, is to bring the best out of you, but also to make sure that there is consistency, that from opening credits to closing credits, your energy is the same, your emotion is the same. Now, of course, with any audiobook or any story that you're telling, there are arcs, right? that, arcs and storylines, and there's a flow. So helping you maintain that flow and being consistent is, of course, the key to doing a great audiobook, which is why having a coach is great, because you have somebody there that is your support system to help you through the entire process. Now, of course, the next part of that, of the process of creating the audiobook, is that every audiobook needs to be edited. Every audio file needs to be edited. It needs to be cleaned up. And most importantly, you have to make sure that your audiobook meets the exact specifications for publication, or it will get rejected. I've seen it happen. I had an author who went through my program, who had a book that he published before he signed up into the audiobook coaching program that I teach, and his book was rejected. All that work, and he spent months having to try to fix that. Well, you don't want that to happen. So it's really important that you have somebody who knows what they're doing and who just doesn't throw your book, your audio files into some restoration program, or, oh, this will clean it up, and say that's good enough, because, honestly, it's not. You need somebody who will listen to your audiobook in real time to make sure that every nuance of what you are expressing sounds great. And, as an editor, because you do send your files to me, that's part of what I do as a coach and as an editor and a producer, is that I listen to everything in real time. Everything is in real time, because I want to make sure that if there's a mouth noise I can remove, I remove it. If there, and there are other things that a lot of companies don't even pay attention to. What if you slur a word? What if you mispronounce a word? What if there is some weird buzzing or ambient sound that maybe wasn't caught? You got to have somebody who's going to sit there and listen to it in real time. And that's what I do as an editor and as your coach and producer, because you have to do that, because I want to make sure that your audiobook sounds great, that it meets the exact specifications, and that when we submit it for publication, it is accepted the first time, period. All right. That's really important. The other thing that I do is that I will upload all your audio files for you for publication, so you don't even need to worry about, whether, oh, geez, I have to go in, I have to do this, I have to do that. And what if a file, what if there is an issue with the file? I know about it right away. I can go in, fix it, clean it up, do whatever it needs to fix any issues. And this is all done behind the scenes so that you as the author don't even have to worry about it. And it's done. All right, it's done. So that is basically an overview of what it takes to create a great audiobook. And that's why I feel it's really important with the audiobook coaching program, the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program that I teach, that the job is for you to just worry about doing a great narration. All right. And that's what coaching and that's what having a coach is all about. You don't have to worry about the editing process. You don't have to worry about anything else from a technical standpoint, because that is my job. All right. We're going to take a break. It's another break time. I believe our special guest is going to be ready to go. Glad to bring Walter Young in. I'm super excited to talk with him. I know there was a delay of getting him on, but I think he's able to connect now. So we're going to take a quick break. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Robert A. Lane with Robert Lane Coaching. If you want to find out more about what I do as an audiobook coach and producer, go to robertlanecoaching.com. robertlanecoaching.com. Pretty simple, right? Everything is there about the audiobook coaching program that you can find out about not only the program, but you could also listen to clips of other authors who have gone through the program and hear what they've done. They're not professionals, but they sound awesome. All right, we're streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. Stay tuned. We're going to be bringing Walter Young on when we come back.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
It was almost instant. I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back to the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Robert A. Lane with Robert Lane Coaching. I'm super excited. We have our guest ready to go, and I just don't want to waste any more time because this guy is inspirational. I find him incredibly inspirational, and you're going to find out why too. So I would like to welcome to the show Walter Young. Walter is a personal trainer. He is also an author and an actor. We're going to talk about as much as we can about your career, Walter, because you've done some fantastic things throughout your life. But you have a book which is out there called Finding Your Fountain of Life, which I love that title, which we're going to talk about in just a little bit. But again, I just want to officially welcome you to the podcast.
Thank you, Robert. It's really good to be here. I've been waiting for this for a few weeks, so it's wonderful to be able to talk to you again.
Great, yeah. Again, appreciate you joining the show. Now, you're based in Toronto, Canada, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, did you grow up in Toronto, or
I grew up in Hamilton, which is very close to Toronto. Although I spent a good 25 years living in the nation's capital, Ottawa, which is colder than Toronto. But a nice city nonetheless. It's a little smaller than Toronto, but Toronto, as any big city does, is the city that sort of calls you and says, if you can make it there, blah blah blah. So coming here, particularly as an actor, it was the time that I wanted to come to Toronto for that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense. So just to step back a bit, Walter, thinking about your time growing up, what was it like for you? And I know that in your biography that you had sent me, you mentioned about drug and alcohol dependence and going through that phase. Was there something that was a trigger growing up that led to that path, that journey?
I don't know. I joke about, it was the 70s, it was the 80s. But honestly, I think that I could name a number of triggers in my life as a gay man growing up in the 60s and 70s, whatever, that was difficult. But is that the reason? I don't know. I think anyone who deals with alcohol or drug addiction probably is looking for the reason rather than the reason finding them. Mm-hmm. I need a trigger. What will work for me to get me to go along that route? And so I'm not sure. I mean, I'm very much a proponent of the genetic version of the disease as opposed to the triggering version of the disease. Although when it really comes down to it, whatever works for you The same thing with getting sober, getting free of addiction. Whatever works for you, um, as long as you keep trying, that's what
I
counts.
see. Yeah, the reason why I ask is that you hear stories of people who maybe had a tough upbringing in their life. Maybe they had low self-esteem or low self-worth, which they were looking for, something to help them cope. Using drugs and alcohol as a coping mechanism. I guess it's all individual, of course.
Yeah.
What
Well, I
people.
mean, in all honesty, with the first drink came the lack of shyness. Oh my God, the world is great. Oh, everybody loves me. Oh, my first major drunk in high school should have been something that was totally embarrassing, and I'll never do that again. But when I went back to school on Monday morning, and I was kind of like a tough guy now, that was something that was really cool, and I liked that feeling. So then carry it on, carry it on. You're always looking for the joy of the first drink, like the joy of the
Mm-hmm.
first kiss. You're always looking for that again, and it doesn't happen, and it doesn't happen. But the search continues.
Was there a pivotal moment that was the life changer in a sense that put you then on the path of recovery?
There have been several. I was starting to lose friends,
Mm.
and I had certainly lost respect for myself. But the moment that always strikes me the most is I was a hairdresser at the time, and I had a young lady who had been a client of mine from the time she was 14, and through other friends she became a friend, and when she was 22, we were at a party, and I could see the look on her face at seeing me in the state I was in.
Mm.
And to me, that was the main thing. That being said, I think that the biggest lesson was after 8 months of being sober, I relapsed and
Mm.
realized I really do have a problem.
Mm.
I'm not joking around anymore. I really do have a problem. I'd better seek some help. And that's when I sought the help that has held me in good stead for 34 years now.
Wow,
So
that's
it's,
great.
yeah.
And of course, this led you to what you are doing now as a personal trainer. And I say you're very inspirational because what you do as a personal trainer, I mean, you're 67 years old and you're in great shape and you're helping people. I mean, to me, that is incredibly inspiring because that just shows that age is a number, it really is, and that we have the capability to be healthy at any age. And I love that. And I love that concept. So, Walter, what are some of the biggest challenges that some of the clients that you have as a personal trainer face? Are there anything that really stands out that you need to really help them with?
I think the biggest issue is self visualization.
Mm.
If I think I can't do that, if I think it's too late, I may as well just relax and retire and do nothing, then I will do that. Despite the fact that my doctor has told me that because of my diabetes or my heart attack that I had or whatever, that I should be doing these things.
Mm.
And I have a client who is undergoing dialysis 3 times a week.
Wow.
He comes to the gym 3 times a week. Everyone else that he goes for dialysis with complains about how bad their lives are. So a lot of it is the mindset that you enter into it um, with anything in life. You have to uh, see what is possible for you instead of looking for what is not possible for you.
Right. I
So,
agree with you 100%. Yeah.
yeah.
Mindset is key. And I like that you incorporate not just only in your personal training, the physical aspect, but there's also spiritual well-being, emotional well-being, and those are really important components. Uh, is there a method of teaching that you have that you use to fuse all of this together?
Listening. I think listening is the biggest thing that any of us can do. Um, I start off with asking the questions about what are you here for? What are your goals?
Yeah.
And once I've got that, then I can say, okay, well, what are we fighting against? Um, it's great that you want to lose weight, but you don't want to give up the bonbons at night.
Right.
So what are we going to do then about that? How do we get around that? And, people will pay to come and work out, but will not pay attention to what you say about their diet.
Mm.
And a lot of times that is because of the mindset issue that's really underlying everything. So if you start listening to what's going on in their lives and start listening to um, why they may feel a certain way about themselves, uh, you have a better chance then of saying, okay, well, given that, why don't we try this? What about this methodology? What about this methodology? Um, I don't want to be totally rah-rah with my clients, but some clients require that.
Hmm.
You did a great job today. They need to hear that
Yeah.
because they're not hearing it from themselves ever. They're always, well, this is who I am. This is how I've been talked to my entire life. So I will continue the conversation in the same vein. And that's what we have to get away from very often.
Yeah, absolutely. And you brought up a great point. Of course, is listening. And as a coach and as a trainer, uh, you have to listen. You have to listen to what your client needs, and that's great that you do that by stripping away the layers. You mentioned, the why. What is the why? Getting down to what is the root cause that is making somebody act a certain way, feel a certain way, and then being able to then, once you understand that, now it gives you and allows you to find the right methods to help them. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
It's funny because when I look at my past life, my life as a hairdresser was very much the same sort of thing. If you
Mm.
listen to the client, you will find out what they're willing to do, what they're willing to spend, what they're willing, all those things, and what image they have of themselves. Then you can work with that. And certainly when I was an actor, you must listen to the other people on stage. You
Yes.
can't just be thinking about what you're going to say next. So I was taught always to listen to what the other person is giving me and then feedback on that. And it's the best thing that I can bring to my work as a personal trainer.
Absolutely. And again, listening is key. Number one.
Mm.
Number one. So I don't know, I mentioned this to you when we had spoken before, that I do, and I know you've done it as well, and that's cold plunging. And there's a couple of great photos. I want to share a photo of what I do, and then I want to share your photo too because I love
Okay.
this.
Okay.
So here we go. Alex, can we see the graphic? There, see that's my cold plunge tub, and it's usually
Beautiful.
about roughly 37 to 39 degrees. That'll sit in there, and I'll do a 3-minute immersion. But this is what I love. Let's take a look at Walter's version of a cold plunge. I love this.
I'm very lucky to have a backyard in downtown Toronto. But when I first thought about the cold plunging, and I was afraid of the idea of getting into water the
Yeah.
way you do. I still haven't done it,
Oh,
but
really?
I would love to. I mean, there are places you can go. You can do
Yeah.
this, and I keep saying, well, "I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that." So I need to listen to my own reasons. Um, but going out into my backyard, I was getting up at 5 a.m. I started going out and spending 5 minutes meditating and then gradually worked my way into being in the snow, and it was lovely. Because it was a gradual progression. I think that's got something to do with it.
I'm sure.
Although I have gone swimming in middle of October in some of the lakes up north of the city of Toronto, and it's not bad. Once you run in and get in, it's okay. Don't walk.
Right. Right. And then when I do the immersion, I set a timer. I give myself 10 seconds to get in that tub, and it's like the timer ain't going to stop. So you better you better get in. But
That's
you're
right.
right. Once you get in, and it is very meditative, and I focus on my breathing, and it locks you in. It locks you in, and it's okay. And as you sit there, that initial shock to the body, it goes away. It really does.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
breath work of any kind is a wonderful tool to use to regulate what's going on in your head. I use it in meditation classes as well. I use it with my clients. Again, if you're lifting a weight, breathing is important. You don't just,
Yeah.
right? But teaching them that is not always easy. So
Yeah,
keep
absolutely. We're going to need to take one more break. I do want to talk about your book, and then also we definitely want to share how people can get in touch with you. So we're going to do that when we come back. We are, and you are, tuned into the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. My very special guest is Walter Young, personal trainer. He's an author. We even touched about some of the acne techniques, which does bleed into what you do as a personal coach with the listening aspect, which is so important. And we're going to talk more with Walter about his book, Finding Your Fountain of Life. We'll be right back. We're streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. My friends, don't go away.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant. Like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
And welcome back to the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane, your host. We are streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. Our very special guest is Walter Young, who is a personal trainer, an author, an actor. But we want to dive into your authorship. And you published a book called Finding Your Fountain of Life. Walter, what was the catalyst that was like, okay, I need to write a book?
honestly, COVID.
Okay, that's
When you've
valid.
got nothing to do, I did start. COVID changed my life in a lot of ways. It took me from bodybuilding to triathlons.
Oh, okay.
because you can run, you can bike, you can do those things, but you can't go to a gym.
Mm.
Uh, and it gave me the time to think about writing, because I've always wanted to be able to help more people. I think I have something special to say, as everybody does, but the drive suddenly was on. You can spend a couple of hours a day working on this thing, can't you? Yes, okay, do it. See what
Yeah.
happens. If nothing happens, well, at least you've had a chance to think about who you are and where you are and all those things. But it's led to more. I mean, I have the book, I've written articles for Inside Fitness Magazine, which I never would have thought of doing. And there's another book on the way. So um, I think that, thank you, COVID. Uh, it's, it forced many to pivot. And I think I am glad for having done so.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
great. Um, so can you share maybe two or three main components or takeaways that people would get from reading your book?
Sure. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it.
Mhm.
There are very simple lessons taught in the book about the importance of exercise, the importance of finding the exercise that you like to do. As we reach a certain age, it is important to do some resistance training. It's not important to become someone who goes to the gym 4 times a week and lifts heavy weights.
Mm.
You want to lift enough weight that you stave off the natural loss of muscle tissue that happens as part of the aging process. But if you
Yeah.
like gardening, garden, pick up heavy bags of dirt, do stuff like that, and go to the gym once in a while. Don't think that the only thing you're going to be doing is stuck like that. Um, Eating properly. Well,
Mm.
you have to learn what that is. And I don't mean you have to eat lettuce and boiled chicken for the rest of your life. I did that as a bodybuilder. It's horrible. And I think food is a God given gift that
Yeah.
is there to enjoy, to make our lives richer, to help us share with other people. Breaking bread is important. And you don't do that if you are worried about how many calories you're taking in. But
Right.
be aware that eating all the ultra processed foods is not going to be as good as eating some good vegetables grown out of the earth and without pesticides, and
Yeah.
and eating other sources of protein. Uh, where to shop in a grocery store? Grocery
Mm.
stores are set up to make you buy the bad stuff more than the good stuff. The good stuff is all on the outside, and then you've got aisle after aisle of bad stuff. Sorry, anybody who works for the food industry.
Well,
Um,
it's the truth. So,
it's the
that's
truth, right?
let's
So I
tell it
think
what it
honestly,
is.
like, it's those lessons, and finally, the lesson is that our lives are short,
Mm.
and you can hold yourself back from enjoying so many things. I never thought about bike riding until a friend said, "I have an extra bike. Do you want to go for a ride since we can't sit and have a coffee together?" So we went for a bike ride, and now I have enjoyed stopping my bike and seeing a 2-year-old buck standing 2 feet away from me just
Yeah.
suddenly jump and be gone. Um, the wind going through the trees, all those amazing, amazing things that I would have missed otherwise. And uh, getting into triathlons.
Mm.
Who would have thought that a bike ride would lead to that? But it has, because if you open a door, things happen to you.
Yeah.
I saw the movie Anti-Mame the other night on TCM, and there's that song about opening a new door, a new window, finding a new path, whatever it is. And
Yeah.
it's like that. I mean, if you just open the door that much, you can get a whole new life opening up for you. But you have to
Ab-
be willing, and you have to believe in yourself to let you take that. So a lot of the book is about that.
Yeah, and that is crucial. That is a crucial component. And I know we mentioned that earlier about mindset and how mindset plays such an integral part in
Mm.
anything that you do. You know, as an audiobook coach and producer, the authors that go through the program, the very first lesson I teach them is a mindset lesson, because you have to be in the right frame of mind before you even hit the record button. Same, you know, process applies to anything that you do in your life. You know, you got to put your mind to it, believe in yourself, have confidence in yourself, and then do it. And I love that, you know, especially as you know, as we get older, and keeping ourselves, you know, in the best shape possible is so important as we age. And like you mentioned, you know, the natural process of what happens, the aging process, is that's what it is. So let's do what we
That's,
can to keep
that's
ourselves as
it.
healthy as
And,
possible.
right, we also have to bear in mind that given medical science as it now stands, it's making it easier for us to live longer,
Mhm.
but not to live better.
Yeah,
And I don't want to live a long time if I can't do anything because I've let my body fall apart.
right.
So it is necessary to keep working on being as healthy as possible so that if I live that long, I still have a vibrant, healthy, enjoyable life. And I think that's a hard thing for a lot of people because we just think, oh, that's tomorrow, that's tomorrow, that's tomorrow. And all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're 60.
Yeah.
And what happened, you know? But if you start at any time, you have a chance. And they've shown 80-year-olds who start weight training
Yeah, that's awesome.
have amazing results of what they're able
Love
to
that.
do 6 months down the road.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
Love that. So I highly recommend all of you to pick up Walter's book, Finding Your Fountain of Life. You can get it on Amazon. There's so much great information in there
Thank you.
that you'll really enjoy. Walter, as we wrap up here, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Personally, Walter at your service at gmail.com.
Love that.
That's really
That's
opening it
awesome.
right up. If you get the book, I've used QR codes a lot in the book to take you to further information. And one of the things is the Facebook page for people who are interested in what the book has to offer. And it's a community we share with each other. So if they want to get in touch with me that way, that works as well.
Awesome. Walter, thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining us on the podcast. Such great information. And I love, being able to talk to people who are also out there helping others to live better lives, and really, really appreciate it. And as we wrap up, again, my assignment to everybody is this: when you're out and about in the world, my friends, say hello to a stranger, smile at them, give them a compliment. That small gesture of kindness takes 5 or 10 seconds of your life, right? But maybe that person that you've said hello to is having a bad day, or maybe they're just in a really bad place. And that small gesture of kindness can be the best thing that happened in that day. So go out there, be good humans. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane. If you want to find out more about what I do as an audiobook coach and producer, you can go to robertlanecoaching.com. Pick up Walter Young's book, Finding Your Fountain of Life, on Amazon. You're going to love it. We'll be talking to you soon here on the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. Have a great day. Have a great week. Take care, my friends.
This has been Your Book, Your Voice with host Robert A. Lane. Tune in each week for another powerful and informative episode of Your Book, Your Voice, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.